Hey everybody, welcome to Chop It Up. I'm very excited. This is our third episode already. Thank you for all the supporters and people that are just messing with the podcast overall. Today's guest is a very good friend of mine, a legend in the underground scene for documenting sets over our time. He's the founder and owner of Paragon Threat. I welcome to Chop It Up, Whoisbrian. Clap it up.
You don't have an audience? There's no live audience?
No, there's no live audience here.
Crazy.
But
this fucking guy, bro. I'm ruining his AdSense just on purpose. Anyways, good intro, seriously.
Thanks.
He's getting good at this thing.
I appreciate it.
Now, welcome to my podcast. This is Chop It Up with Whoisbrian, and my favorite DJ and content creator, Rhythm Nate, is here to join me. He actually allowed me to come to his house, and now I'm here living in it. Anyways, fuck this mask.
Dude, I love you, bro. Like, this has kind of been great. I mean, we've been friends now. I'm trying to think. Probably online for like 2 years, probably, right?
Yeah. Probably
and then,
2 years, yeah?
Yeah, probably 2 years, just like lingering. And then I'm trying to remember the first time we met. Well, it was Lost Lands last year. We met in
officially,
person,
yeah.
Finally.
During the Versa set, right? Or
I think it was
just before.
Yeah, it was day one, I think, we met. Finally.
Leatrix.
Yes.
Yeah,
Brian,
I just got there.
I've respected everything that he's done in the scene, and I kind of just like joined his Discord server, and everybody's human at the end of the day, so we just started chit-chatting, and it's kind of gone from there. They kind of let me into their friend group, which I'm very
you're cool people,
very blessed to be a part of. But yeah, I met Brian in person finally last year at Lost Lands, and then he convinced me to go to Northern Invasion last year.
Yeah.
So that was super fun. But I wanted to bring Brian more onto the podcast today of just everything that he's done in the music industry, because everybody sees what he does from like a content standpoint, but there's a lot of things that not a lot of people know about you.
Yeah, I guess I keep it low key for the most part. Like, I don't know. I guess I don't really publicly brag about the shit that I do nowadays. I'm just like, oh, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably see that I travel a lot. I mean, shit, I'm from Florida, Orlando, and I'm literally across the country here in Portland, Oregon, just hanging out.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I tell people all the time, like, Brian's like the coolest friend I have that gets to do stuff, and we're gonna go over that today.
Yeah, definitely.
As you can see, he's wearing Deadmau5 stuff. As much as we know him as the underground scene, Brian has some really cool stuff coming up that we're gonna talk about.
Yeah,
kind of how he got into the
I'm a mainstream baby.
You're a sellout now.
Yeah, I definitely sold out. Oh, I sold out, bro.
But so Brian is out here though this week, Portland, Oregon, tonight. This is gonna get posted later in a couple of days, but tonight, Benda's tour.
Yes.
Benda's tour is kicking off here in Portland, Oregon, and it's a stacked lineup. Who's on it?
So tonight we have Benda. This is the tour kickoff. So his first ever headline tour. Benda was it Beat the Block tour. We got Benda obviously headlining. We have Algo, Hamro, and Inactive kicking things off here at 45 East tonight. Tour kickoff. I'm excited for this.
Dude, I'm pumped.
Yeah, honestly, just a super stacked lineup for the first show of the tour.
It's when I saw the news, or when you texted me about it, I was like, no way we're getting a show like this in Portland. But I'm just super excited to get going. See the boy Inactive finally in person.
I think little by little you're finally getting to like check off all these smaller guys you've been trying to see. You're just kind of speaking into existence. You're like, oh shit,
yeah,
like they're coming.
So many. But yeah, well, I guess we can first just hop into it. Kind of give people the background of the music industry is like jobs overall that you've done in your career so far.
So I think I've kind of had a bit of an unorthodox, at least entry or start into the industry, because as some of you guys might know, like I kind of am known to just do like these YouTube set recaps and festival vlogs. And that's kind of how I built like a portfolio, if that makes sense. And over the years, that kind of just like snowballs into little opportunities here and there. You get to like hang with artists, meet their managers, things like that. And I kind of took that, and I guess I've kind of snowballed this into just a crazy, I don't know, like just outcome. So right now, if you fast forward to things, I still do the YouTube thing, not as much as I would like to. It's just I'm really busy and trying to like set up different just career paths, I guess, for myself. I do the YouTube. I tour now, like every now and then I hop on a tour, like 1 or 2 a year, and like do merch selling. So that's really like the first thing that I got into in the industry per se, was like the selling of merch to like a really good friend of mine and mentor. And then now, a couple years later, I just recently started Paragon Threat, which is like my management company, really just kind of a little one-stop shop for anything like merch wise, artist management and brand building, and just consultations and things like that.
Paragon Threat's been blowing up too.
Low key, like it's
I know you don't want to brag about it, but I'll
eh,
brag about it for you with just
appreciate that.
the people. For the people that don't know, who are some of the artists that?
So a lot of like, honestly, what I would say like trend makers right now, but like the big trend is like all these masked projects, and that's why I joked around and started with a mask, because my public roster right now is all masked artists. So Inactive being like our bigger guy, we have Sanzu, Seven, Mongrel, Oscar, and I think we have a few more that probably going to announce next year, going into like the real proving grounds as we get into like the first like full year of this Paragon thing. Because I think now we've been doing this for 4 or 5 months.
I was
Yeah,
just gonna
and
say maybe like
it's honestly been kind of crazy so far.
it's been picking up fast, and even on our episode with Yax and Ominous, we spoke about the Masquerade show down in Florida,
Yeah.
and I know your crew was a part of that big time.
Yeah, that low key was like an unofficial Paragon Threat like takeover, because pretty much almost that whole lineup was like just all my artists just DJing with each other and going crazy. And that was honestly, that show did a lot,
It
because
did.
after that a lot of people started hitting us up like, we want to do that exact same show in our city. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, like let's talk some numbers, let's figure it out, let's see if it's
Yep.
doable, because I kind of handle like a lot of like everything low key. Like it's literally just me and then our team of artists, and we just like work together to make things happen. Like
Mhm.
everybody kind of carries their own weight and like does their thing.
Yeah, even with like the Masquerade takeovers of like a dub station, it's even happening.
Yeah, we have like our own little branded spot on that flyer, which is crazy to me. Like the
Mm-hmm.
Masquerade takeover, and that's really what we've been calling this whole thing, is like the Masquerade, because everybody's literally masked up.
Which I like it. I mean,
Honestly,
it kind
yeah.
of brings like a little like cool little mixture
It
of things
does.
to
And
it.
like the cool thing is like a lot of what I would say are like the more popular mass artists right now, we're all friends. Like literally, we all started off in the same Discord servers as they were learning their production journeys, and everybody knows each other. And we just literally worked really hard together, supporting one another, like in whatever way. Like, because I'm myself, I'm not a producer, but I have like a decent ear, and like the business side is like what I'm really good at. So I'm like, hey, like maybe you should try and do this, or just motivational speak and get them into gear, while they might
Yep.
hit up one another and be like, hey, I learned this new thing today. Like, let me show you what I did and make this sound.
He can't produce, but he's a menace on the decks.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, you are. You're crazy, dude.
I say that as like I still get comments on this mix that I put out last year, like almost daily still right now, and people are like, dude, what?
Dude, you open up with the quad. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
that
Like,
was a pretty mean.
come on.
I dude, I think I like set the bar too high, because like I feel like I can't mix like that right now.
It's kind of nuts. And then like me over here, I can't do anything. I can't produce, I can't mix, but hey, we can
Listen, but
we
you
can have a good
develop
time.
these skills over time, bro. Like you got the decks,
Yeah,
you got
we do.
you
yeah.
like, dude. We walked in here and you started.
We
spinning.
may have like celebrity appearances, maybe.
We should definitely do that. Yeah.
Like while it's going on, like chop it up is happening.
I don't know. I feel like anything could happen on this podcast.
Anything is possible. But do you want to share them? So you've done merch sales, but who did you the tours that you worked for people? So
tours wise, my first like actual tour, and when I say tour, I mean like literally I'm either in a van or a bus, or like we're flying around, was the Flowbots, which is kind of crazy. Most people probably watching this don't know who the Flowbots are, but if you know the song like I Can Ride My Bike with No Handlebars, that's them. That was like 2008. That song blew up. It was huge. There was like the whole incident with Logan Paul where like he did like a cover song of it and they sued him and all this stuff. That was his whole thing. But I did my first ever tour with them, and honestly, awesome group of dudes. They're all from Denver, very, very wise and just cool dudes. And that was like technically I think 2 months total, like 8 weeks, 9 weeks. But we'd like a gap in between. So that was like the first tour I did. The next one was Deadmau5, which is like huge. It's a huge jump. Now, probably most people seeing this know Deadmau5, who that is. I got involved in that thing through just like, again, my mentor and like friends of mine who were already working in that field. And with deadmau5, and they just saw how I work, and I'm reliable, which is like a big thing in this industry, is just being reliable, professional. Cool, come work with us. Literally doing deadmau5. Then I guess more recently, I just came off the Sullivan King tour, the Thrones of Blood tour, which was super random. Like, I had just gotten to Miami for my music week. It was kind of a really last minute impulsive send. And I think I'm there one night, I'm chilling. I wake up, I'm like, I don't even know. I'm just scrolling through Instagram, and I get a phone call at like 10 a.m. I'm like, huh. And the person that called me is someone that's in the industry that I know and I work with. And she just like calls me. She's like, dude, do you want to go on a tour like this week? I'm like, yeah, like with who? You know, I'm like, sure, I need money. Like, you know, I'm down. And she's like, oh, Sullivan King. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, what is this? Like a van tour? She's like, no, like a full on bus tour. Like, would you be able to like fly to, I think what was it, Washington State, like tomorrow? I'm like, I just got to Miami. I'm like, I think I'm gonna see you tonight. Like, aren't you here? Because, you know, she works with like Subtronics and all these bigger artists. And she's like, oh yeah, okay, let's talk about it tonight. But can you like give me like, how soon can you get over there? I'm like, can you give me like 2 days, and then I'll drive home and just hop on a plane? And that's literally what it did. And like, it's wild that that even happened, because I think I was like so down bad financially at that exact moment. I was like, ooh, like I over leveraged on my credit cards, and like I had been taking so much time off my normal job that I was like, I really shouldn't even be in Miami right now. But like, I last minute send, just a little reckless, and that kind of popped in. So I literally was scrambling to find like a loan, like an instant loan, to just afford the flight over there. Because it's like they were going to pay for the flight, but usually, I don't know, at least in my experience, you usually front the cost of a lot of things, and then you'll like, you know, they'll pay it back later. So I was like scrambling to just like rack up the $500 to buy a one-way flight over there on 2 days notice.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that happened. And honestly, that was 2 months, just about 2 months in a bus, shows almost every single day. Long days, but really fun.
Crazy merch sales too. Right?
Yeah, like insane. If you know Sullivan King, he moves merch like a literal rock star. Like, it's just tons of jerseys, tons of shirts, like everything. It's a big deal.
Jeez. And then well, that's pretty cool, just being able to work in the merch industry and kind of, you know, getting your foot more into it. And then they say like when one door opens, 10 more.
Yeah.
One opens, you got 10 more that opens up in front of you. So I'm guessing you've probably made even more connections now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Through doing that.
And I think that's like the nice thing with doing tours. It's like you meet new people every day, but people that are also in the industry. Like every day you're waking up and I literally introduce myself every single day to new people. And you never know where these people have worked, what tours they've done. And I'm like, oh, dude, and you start making these connections. And I've made a lot of cool friends. Just, hey, I played like we did a show at their venue. Mm-hmm. They were super nice, you know, whatever it is. And we stay in touch. Hey, add me on Instagram. Yeah. Add me on Snapchat. You know, here's my number. You have my number. Like, whatever. Let's do it.
That's kind of like you. I've kind of used you as kind of like a mentor, I guess. For those who kind of really don't know, Chop It Up kind of happened because of this guy.
I mean, yeah. Like
I called you, I texted you, and I was like, what do you think of this idea that I have?
And I texted you back immediately. Like,
if you said no, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah. Which is funny to me. But I was like, when you text me, I'm like, that's a no-brainer. For you, knowing you, I was like, yeah, you're like one of the best people for this. Because I'm like, you know how to just talk to people. Like, I don't, like, if I didn't know you, you could still be like, make some small talk and that'll turn into a conversation, especially because of your background. And you have experience in a lot of different things that's relatable.
I've done a lot of things in my life already.
Like, that's why I always call you like a freaking side quester. I'm like, there's so much random things that I feel like you've done. I'm like, of course you know about this.
Yeah, like the volcano side quest that almost just happened right
now. Literally like just before this. We're at the bottom of a volcano, apparently.
Mount Hood.
Yeah. I literally didn't know we had volcanoes in the US until a couple months ago when we drove past one on tour. And I forgot, like, oh yeah, we're pretty close to that. And he's like, yeah, it's like 30 minutes up the road.
Traffic was a disaster.
Yeah.
But we turned back around.
We turned around because I'm like, traffic, we got a show tonight. Let's not risk it. If it blows up, we might have some time to run.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, do you want to tell everybody the big news you got coming up with deadmau5, though?
Yeah, so it's pop-up season. Every year with deadmau5, for the last like 2 years, we do these big pop-up shops in like usually Denver and probably one or two other cities that we do like these bigger events at. So it's usually like he's doing shows at a big venue for 2-3 days. We'll do a pop-up shop. And if you don't know what a pop-up shop is, basically a physical store that we build in like a week or a few days and we just sell merch out of, do meet and greets, cool stuff. It's an experience. It's really dope. But this year is probably our most ambitious year, where we have 4 total, maybe a 5th one that we might do last minute. And we're kicking it off in Tokyo, Japan, which I will be flying to in like, I don't know, less than 48 hours.
Yep. I was gonna say maybe like 72, but I guess it might be a little bit closer to that.
It's probably like 50 something hours I'll be on a plane to Japan, which is kind of crazy. And I still have to fly home in Orlando.
Right after the show, I'm taking him.
Yeah, so tonight's probably going to be a no sleep night, and just straight to the airport, go home.
That's super cool though. Just having that opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, if you could like go back in time and like you telling yourself like, hey, like you're gonna go to Japan for work, do you think that you would like believe someone telling you that?
Maybe not. Like, I'm one of those, I'm like, anything's possible, but I'm also the type where like I literally don't believe it until like, I don't know, paperwork is signed or things are booked and it's like legit. Then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I am going to Japan. Even now, I'm like, dude, the flight's booked. We had like the approval from the Japanese embassy, all this stuff, and I'm like, I'll see when I get there. When I land and I'm like in the country, then I'll get excited. But like, I don't know. One of the biggest things I've kind of always been a believer in for a long time is like never celebrate too early. So like, I think I'm really good at containing my excitement about a lot of things until like it's happening, and then I'm like, oh, cool,
yeah,
we're here.
You're like, I'm here.
Yeah.
Good luck on that 14-hour flight.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. That might be my longest single flight yet. Yeah.
I could never do that.
We're gonna find out. I mean, hey, if I survive it, we're
So I guess for like other people who don't know who you are, kind of talk about well, first off, you're from Florida.
Florida boy. Yeah.
Florida boy, born and raised. The scene's popping down there, but kind of just talk about how you got into videography, because I feel like that kind of opened up doors in the beginning for you.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one. So for those of you who don't know, like the YouTube channel that I mentioned earlier, it's Whoisbrian. Literally, it's like asking a question, who is Brian, which is typically a question a lot of people ask, which is kind of how that name came about anyways, because I'm like, nobody knows me. Who is Brian?
Who is
yeah, like, who is that? Who's that kid? And literally, basically, in short, I take my phone, my nice little iPhone here, and I went to sets, performances, festivals, and I would just record bits of those sets or kind of vlog a little bit what my experience is like at these events, showcase the food, some of the cool installations, the artists that I went to go see, people that I support, funny moments, and just kind of clip it all together, throw it on YouTube with a nice thumbnail. And I've basically been doing that now for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I think. I don't even know how long it's been. And kind of built a weird following. Not weird, but just cool following, I guess. Like, very quickly, basically, like I uploaded, it started with Lost Lands, the first Lost Lands.
What was it? The vlog?
The vlogumentary is what I called it. Because like, I didn't want to split it up into multiple videos because I feel like,
now people do that, but back in the day,
yeah, like back then, I always noticed if you did like a part 1, part 2, part 3, like part 1 would always have 1 million views or whatever. Then part 2 would have like half of that. Part 3, no one ever watched. So I was like, if I just keep it long as shit and just brand it something cool, and I was like, oh, vlogumentary, because the whole point of the trip was really to just document this, what I thought was very historic, which is the first dubstep focused music festival in the US. And let alone thrown by the biggest guy in dubstep, like currently at the time. Like, it just made so much sense. And this is my first out-of-state festival. I was like, dude.
Lost Lands was your first out-of-state festival?
First out-of-state festival.
Wow.
And like self-funded, like I basically just sold a bunch of stuff and made the money to make it happen. And like, I was like, cool, like my mom's going to want to know where the heck I just was and what I did over there. So this would be a cool video to just like show my mom, show my friends, you know, and just myself rewatch it. So I made a vlogumentary, put it on YouTube. It's like an hour long. And very quickly, like that gained a lot of traction. People were like, dude, like I want to go to Lost Lands next year. You know, this video solidified that. So I kind of did it again the next year. And I think in between this, I did a couple videos of me at just shows locally in Orlando. Again, just hanging out with friends and then like the set recap. And Lost Lands comes around next year, do the same thing. I think I did EDC Orlando. And that kind of became my thing. Like, oh, any festival I go to, I'll record like a vlog, or like any shows that come into town, like of artists that I really wanted to see, I would do. But something I started to do was focused on like the little guys. So like a lot of the underground, smaller guys that I believed in. I'm like, yo, they put on a really good show. I'm just gonna like, put a video of their set on YouTube, because I feel like no one else is doing this. Like it's just a couple Instagram tags or a clip on Facebook, but like a dedicated YouTube video doesn't really take much time for me to put together and throw online.
Mm-hmm.
And that really started to build a cool reputation for me with like all the locals and smaller guys. And now we're all friends and they support you. It becomes like a really cool, like self-giving system of like everyone's helping each other out and boosting each other, And I think that kind of created like a cool community of people that, hey, like if you ever post something, I'm going to share it. And likewise, I know you're going to do the same for me.
That's like how I kind of like gravitated toward your content of things. It was just like the more underground. And one of the videos that really stuck out to me, first of all, I first, of course, saw the big Lost Lands one.
Yeah.
But when you went to Valhalla.
Yeah, that was a big one.
When you posted the chip set, I forget who else you posted too. But you did a really good Valhalla like vlog.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this festival looks like the coolest fest.
That fest was crazy. So Valhalla was interesting because that was technically the first festival that I was media for. Like
you're in media for that one?
Yeah, like I had submitted a media application like 4 or 5 months prior on a whim. I was like, oh, maybe I can get in. But really, it's just I want free tickets so I can go to this festival and vlog it. And randomly, like I think 4 weeks before the festival, I get an email back. I completely had forgotten I submitted this, and they're like, hey, like we're trying to get some content creators to like shoot content for the festival. We like your stuff. We'd love to have you. And it was kind of stressful because I'm like, dude, this is 4 weeks away. Like
in
Canada, like the flights were really expensive. This is so last minute. And I'm like scrambling because I'm like, man, this is a great opportunity. The lineup's crazy. When am I going to see some of these artists because they can't play in the States? Started like scrapping together the resources to try and make this happen. Thankfully at the time, my girlfriend at the time, she's like, dude, we'll just put it all on my credit card and like, we'll figure it out. We'll like start paying it back. I'm like, okay, cool. Did that, made it out there. And that was a crazy experience because like the culture over there is insane. Like the energy for everything.
Some legendary sets.
Very legendary. Yeah. And that Chibs video, I think still to this day is like my top 5 most viewed videos ever.
I'll just go back and randomly watch it.
Yeah. Like
just
insane. Anytime I've gone back to Montreal, like people used to always bring that video up, like that Chibs video. I watch it all the time. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. That was years ago now.
And I think one of the turning points though for me though, kind of like I won't say like me becoming a friend with you was when you posted the Northern Invasion video. I know that blew up when everybody was just like I heard of Northern Invasion then, and then you went to it, and I would say you and the Festival Finesser both posted a video that year, correct?
Yep.
That's when Northern Invasion really like
I
took off, I think.
Low key, because it was always pretty big, but I think it was really self-contained. Like from the US, it was like all the real like rhythm heads, the cultured individuals, like they knew because they see the lineup, they see the names, like, yeah, like I want to go there. But I think me going there, Festival Finesser, some of our friends, like more Americans starting to pull up and just like full send it and go, really was like a changing tide because when we post the videos, people were like, yo,
what is this event?
Like everybody there is on crack. Like it's insane. Everyone's screaming, jumping, dancing around, and like almost no one's phone is out. I feel weird because I have my phone out.
Dude, recording. I know, like I went this past year with them, and I was getting some clips because I made a video about it, so you guys can see it on my channel.
Yeah.
That energy at Northern Invasion is just the craziest thing you can witness in the scene, I think.
Northern is literally my favorite event of the year.
Yes.
Like I have more fun at this club show than I do at any festival of the 100%. Year, which is crazy to say. And it's funny because I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. After this past year, a lot of our friends were like, it's weird, but it's like literally that is more fun than any festival we go to.
How big was our group? How many did we have?
It was 15 to 20.
Yeah, that's like the biggest group I've ever went to. And
Same.
They were super open. Like they all flew in a day earlier, and then I flew in. It was the first time meeting a lot of people in the friend group, and you guys were just so sweet letting me in.
Yeah, and that was the first time like a lot of us had hung out to that level. Because like even for me, like some of these, like a lot of the crew I didn't know on a personal level. I just knew from Discord or Instagram, and that was it. but it was like, hey, like you seem trustworthy. I just want no drama. That's our biggest thing. Like no drama in the Airbnb.
Mhm.
Like, please, for the love of God, we're international. We're here for rhythm and vibes. Like, let's hang out.
We had rhythm going at all hours because we
Yeah.
brought CDJs. We were
Bro, that was nuts. I remember, well, the first night it was cold and half the crew was there. The rest were like driving out.
You guys went to a couple bars that night.
Yeah, we went to some bars and we're just hanging out, but it's cold. It's negative
Dude,
20, negative 30 degrees with wind up there this weekend. So like, I'm from Florida.
You guys,
Half of us were Florida.
struggling.
Yeah, we were like, what do we wear? What do we do? Like, we, you know, the lowest we get in Florida is like mid 20s. Sometimes it'll dip a little lower, but even then, it's not like it snows or anything. Let alone the negatives. I'm like,
I was giving you guys stuff.
yeah.
I think I brought some extra winter.
And I was probably the least. And I went up to Northern knowing this because at least from the year prior, it was the same like temperature, not as cold, but it was cold. But like, I was like, I did okay. Like, it wasn't that bad. 0 degrees, easy. Like, it's not much different than 30. But this year was like, yo, that's 30 degrees below. I'm like, and the wind. So I literally wore these pants, like just these pants, no layer underneath. I wore that at negative 30 degrees, a pair of Vans, 1 layer of socks, like literally basically what I wear to any show.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just had like a jacket on and a hoodie.
We were co-checking everything though by the end of the night.
Oh yeah, like in the show itself, it's like a normal show. Like you're gonna be hot and sweaty.
One of the super cool things about Northern Invasion last year I noticed was no LED panels, just all lights.
Yep, all lights. And I think I
love that.
I think that's a cool way of them being able to save some money on production because it's still a cool. If you do have a cool light array, dope. You might not necessarily need visuals and LED panels, which costs a lot of money.
Yeah, they didn't need it, but just the crowd is nuts.
Yeah, that's why we
thought
go.
that we were crazy when we're all just like, yeah, we're from the States. Like, I came from Iowa.
Yeah,
that's where I was living. They'd be like, you came from Iowa to Northern Invasion? I'm like, yes, I did.
Yeah, because I think the year that Festival Finesser and I went that first time, all these guys, they kind of knew us from YouTube and stuff, and they're like, you guys came from Florida or you came from, the US, you guys are crazy. Especially me, because I came from Florida, so that's like real far. Like Festival Finesser, I think he's from Jersey or New York, so like he can drive a couple hours and he can be there, which is exactly what he did. And but like from Florida, it's like, I'm not driving that.
No.
I flew in. And the first year I went, that was crazy because like we flew in the day of show, but it was like the most snow they've ever gotten in like, I don't know, 20 years or something like that. So all the flights were getting canceled. My flight was minutes from getting canceled, but it was the last one let out of the airport. They said it was like a Hail Mary, like, go. Good luck.
You made it.
And we made it probably an hour before the show started. So we literally got an Uber to the hotel, went to the hotel, basically just changed, like, wow, this is such a nice room. Sucks we're not going to enjoy it because our flight's early. And then ran over to the Club Soda. That was it. It was like crazy. It's one of my favorite vlogs is that first one. When I walked
into Club Soda for the first time, I was just like, man, this is just such a special place of rhythm. And then, shit hit the fan last year. But that's okay. They can watch the videos.
Literally watch the vlogs, the Northern Invasion vlogs. Any of the ones that were posted for me, Festival Finesser, Graham, like, dude, that shit's crazy. But one of the best shows of my life.
Yes. Well, people are probably going to be wondering, maybe any Paragon people going to be at Northern this year? What's going on?
I hope. I really do.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe they'll hit us up for something, maybe like a pre-party, but that's the goal. I know for most of us,
pretty cool.
Like Northern Invasion is a bucket list event. Like that's something we're trying to, like if we can play that, we'll in a heartbeat. Like I'm so ready for that.
Oh, that's
honestly.
Great.
I want to see what this lineup looks like.
I know. I think the lineup's going to be coming out.
I think they just tweeted it or something that it's going to be pretty soon.
Buy your tickets soon because they're going to
get your passports.
It's going to sell out quick.
Because they did the early birds and I think it's already like half sold out. Like the actual whole event itself with no lineup, and I'm like, if it's anything like last year, that shit's gonna sell out.
I hope I can make it this year.
I do too.
We'll see. I know
you gotta renew your passport, buddy.
Yeah, we just found out my passport expires here soon, so we'll see. But if I don't, it's okay. I'll live through you guys.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be there. It's so hard for me to miss that.
Nice. But I guess we can kind of just let's talk about first. I got some pretty dope clothes on.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, you do too.
Oh.
Brian, in my opinion, I think you got some of the best merch in the
Thank
game,
you, man.
dude.
Thank you.
I'm a diehard with your merch. Talk about why you wanted to do merch and kind of now just like these crazy designs, and especially we'll talk about Mile 32, the Who's
Yeah.
Brian collab, but kind of just talk about your
So
vision.
the merch thing, I guess it kind of comes with the territory, but doing YouTube, dude, people were asking for merch, I think within the first year of me doing YouTube. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm going to sell like 2 shirts if I do a merch drop at this point. You know, I'm like, I don't know if I want to deal with that. Like 2 years go by and that's like consistent. Like people just be like, dude, when are we going to get a Who's Brian shirt? You know, yada, yada. I'm like, damn, bro, people have been asking for like 2 years. I'm like, I should really like do it. And at this point, I'm starting to feel like I might be able to do a drop, like small thing, nothing crazy. I'm like, let me entertain this. I start like going through and finding like different artists and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what I would do for merch. And then I find this one artist who does like this cool, like, I don't know, it's like dark arts,
I don't know. It's
like metal. I don't even know what to call that.
pretty sick. I
Yeah.
think we might have another example too.
Yeah, we might actually, but might be hidden.
I don't know.
Might be hidden. Not on camera, but there's some more merch floating around here right now. But like I saw this guy who did like cool like metal designs, if you will, and I was like, damn, the price wasn't bad. And I'm like, I can probably afford to like take a gamble and just commission a piece. And I'm like, what would look cool? And he had like a design with a dragon on it, like wrapped around a castle. And I was like, dude, that's like kind of what I was thinking, because I think this was already creeping up on Forbidden Kingdom. And I'm like, man, I really like. Obviously, I love dragons, but I'm like, I love this like floating temple idea, especially because I'm a big nerd and I've played World of Warcraft all my life. So it's like two things that are very common in that game is like dragons and like floating like isles and ruins and shit. So I'm like, this is right up my alley. So I'm like, you know what? Okay. I'm like, dude, can you just do a dragon on like a floating broken temple? It's like, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, cool. Send them the money. Like 2 days later, 3 days later, she like shoots me over a sketch, and I'm like, bro, and it's like that.
It's wild.
Yeah, and it's like, whoa,
Sick.
like 2 days, spat that back out at me, and I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, does this look good? Like any changes? I'm like, that's perfect. I'm like, yeah, let's run it. Cool. Next day, sends me the final. He's like, all right, cool, man. Like, anything else you need? I'm like, no, that's perfect. I tipped him like, I don't even know, like $30 on top of whatever I paid. And I'm like, this is sick. Which it didn't originally have the Whoisbrian logo on it. And then I kind of just went in the Photoshop file and I was like, would this look cool with my name like on it? So then I just slapped it behind the dragon and I was like, yeah, that could work.
So it was just originally just.
It was just the dragon originally.
That's it.
Yeah.
No Brian stuff on the shirt whatsoever.
Because at the time I didn't know if I even wanted my name on the shirt. I was like, do I just start like a clothing line and keep the Whoisbrian thing like, oh, it's a Whoisbrian collab, maybe. And I was like, we'll just see. It's first merch drop. Do it. People are like, yo, that's sick.
So sick.
Yeah. And actually, after I got that design, I think like the same week, I was so impressed with the guy. I was like, dude, let me get a second one. Like, just big demon gladiator dude over a mosh pit or whatever. And he was like, okay. Spits it out in like a couple days. So I'm like, okay, I have 2 pieces here. I'm going to put on a shirt, go through the process of learning how to like make the merch get made. Because prior to this, prior to YouTube even, I had like a supercar spotting page that I grew, and I had like a bunch of thousands of followers and tons of engagement, all this stuff. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna do merch, But I did like the cheaper route, which is print on demand, where like you don't really front any of the costs of anything besides a website. But honestly, like you have way less options to control with how things come out. You have to pay more, so like you can't make as much money. And it just didn't do well. And I was like, oh, so I kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. So this time I'm like, I'm going to just take money that I have saved up for my job and just pay to have 50 shirts made or something like that up front. And then I can announce it and basically like try and ship this out ASAP.
So when you did the first initial one, what was your thoughts going into it? And when it went live, what was the feedback or kind of what was going on with you?
So, I mean, I was like nervous about it because again, I didn't really have high expectations because I'm like, I'm just Brian. Like, I don't know. Like, I might sell a couple shirts, and honestly, it was kind of like that because I think initially I did pre-orders. I think, or maybe not. I'm trying to remember. It was like a while ago now. It was over a year ago.
I don't know.
But I was like, yeah, like I'm gonna do a merch drop. But when I showed the designs, people were like, holy shit, like that's sick. Because most people do like just their logo on a shirt and that's it. But I'm like, when you really think about it, like your logo really isn't all like that. Like it doesn't really, I don't know, invoke any emotion or like, oh, that's cool. It's just, oh, what does that say? Oh, okay. What is that? So I'm like, hey, if I just have like cool artwork on a shirt and then just kind of throw my name on there, kind of sick.
Yep. Like this one.
Yeah. So this is the mile 32 one. So I don't know how much of it you can see.
Might have to stand up and
Yeah.
do like a little twirl.
This shirt is awesome. And this was like the first like what I would call higher end shirt that we made.
Your quality shirts though are like
yeah,
each one of your shirts are
because this one
quality.
I still love this, and honestly to this day everybody is like that is like my favorite shirt, like feel wise, like everything, especially because the collar. So with this, since this is like a higher end like streetwear blank, people are like, oh, that's the biggest complaint is the collar being thick, but that's kind of the thing with that type of shirt. This one's not bad, honestly, it's perfect. But that people are like, it's nice because it has that feel, it's soft, doesn't really shrink much. Price point was good. This is like crazy. This was me like, all right, we're gonna like get the best blank possible, super high end. It's gonna make something cool, like premium as shit. Which I was scared because I was like, dude, it's significantly more expensive to get this made than that. And I'm like, I was talking to Mile 32, and it's someone who I wanted to collab with for like months. Like pretty much immediately after I did the Inactive collab, Mile 32 was like on my list. I'm like, that kid, like I love his music, I like his name, I love his logo. I'm like, I want to do something with him. And I don't know, I didn't do anything with that for a while until I forgot. I think I mentioned like a merch collab and someone mentioned his name on there, and I saw him with the eye emojis and I was like, oh, he's actually interested. And I was like, let's cook something.
It's so sick.
Yeah.
Shout out Mile 32.
Big shout out, dude.
I met him finally at Lost Lands. We hung out probably a good chunk of the weekend, and it was nice.
One of the nicest dudes. Seriously. Very, very nice kid.
But who was the first one to, get the Mile 32 shirt?
This guy right here. Order number 1. He texted me before I dropped it, and he was like, dude, I'm going to try and be the first one to buy it. And I was like, all right, I mean, good luck. Because honestly,
there were so many people that were like,
yeah, like I severely underestimated how many people wanted the Mile 32 shirt. So we only did like 40 shirts, maybe a little more, like a couple extras just for like River, myself, my mom, people like that. And yeah, like I think it was only 40 for sale because I'm like, dude, this is really expensive to make. So I'm like, I'm fronting for this drop, I fronted all the costs up front just because I wanted to have it like in hand, like send it to him so he can get photos and like, let's make this happen quick. And you texted me like, dude, I'm gonna be number 1, bro. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. I like make it live, public, like 2 seconds later, order number 1 comes in and I look at who it is. It's fucking Nate. And I'm like,
I gotta support the homies.
Yeah, I'm like, damn. And then like all the other orders started rolling in. Long story short, we ended up selling out the entire drop in less than 24 hours.
Dude, yeah.
Which was nuts.
Crazy.
And like, I think I priced these high. I was scared because I priced it higher than I normally would, but it's because this is a really expensive blank. It's everything about it's very high quality. So I was like, we're going to take a gamble here. Like it's a risk. I think 40 to 50 shirts is a safe margin of error. They're like, let's make it work. Sold out. Now, like me and River were like messaging each other on Discord. I'm like, yeah, we should probably redrop this soon. Like,
there's so many people that just like came up to me. Like, I wore it at Lost Lands Friday. Anyways, only person, and every single time people would be like, dude, that shirt is so sick. Where'd you get it? Is there any available? I'd be like, no, like sold out. Good luck. You ain't getting one. And then like River's friends I would run into, they'd be like, oh my gosh, like this is my homie. And I go, yeah, I know who he is. And it was funny when seeing River in person, I'm wearing it. And he just points at me. Yeah. And I was just like,
dude, the shirts came out awesome, bro. Especially like the print. Because in my head, this print was not going to be this big on the shirt. But then
it's perfect.
Like the shop that I get them made at, like, I think since I already made a couple designs through them and stuff, they're like, I think they knew what I was really aiming for. So they were like, we know you want like that streetwear, like big fit. So when I opened the box to like receive the merch and I see how big they printed it, I was like, oh,
you're
like this is perfect, bro. Like my face lit up. And every time I pick up shirts from the shop, all the staff always comes up front because they're like, dude, you always have the sickest shirts. Like we love making your merch because it's cool designs.
Somebody in Orlando that does
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I go through like a local shop, which is what I recommend a lot of people do. If you have the money to just pay for the stuff up front, do it, because you have way more options and control over the merch itself.
Nice.
And the biggest thing is being able to get stuff to people quickly. So if I have the merch in hand, then announce the merch drop and be like, hey, we're gonna, it's on sale now. I can ship it out to you and have it in your doorstep in 2 days. Versus a pre-order.
That's what I noticed.
Yeah.
Like, but this man hand delivered the inactive shirts to us.
Yeah, dude. Actually, it's funny. I might have to hand deliver some shirts to Japan.
No way.
Yeah. So like a week or two ago, we had a couple orders. I literally woke up. I just had a dream about Japan. Then I woke up and like I checked my, the Shopify, it's like, oh, you have new sales. I was like, oh, word, cool. And I see it's like multiple orders from Japan. I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, just also finding out that I'm going to be going to Japan soon. So it's like a whole bunch of Japan stuff in like a day. And I'm like, oh God. So learning how to ship that over is one thing. But one of the packages did just get sent back because I guess the name has to be in English, weirdly enough, for it to like get accepted to go over there. And they had wrote their name, in Japanese, which makes sense. So my mom had called me yesterday and she was like, hey, like the package came back and this is the reason why. And I was like, oh crap. Okay. But she's like, do you want me to just like hold on to it and then you just take it with you to Japan? And I was like, actually, maybe. Yeah. Like I'm going to look at the address and just see how far I'm going to be from that address and just see if I'll just go walk over there or whatever and deliver it.
Surprise Whoisbrian appearance.
Yeah. Which is not the first time I've hand delivered merch. Like sometimes if I know I'm going to be in a city, I'm just like, hey, I'll bring the shirt over to you. Like,
yeah, because remember, I was like at Northern, I was like, hey, like, when are the inactive shirts going to be shipped out? And you go, here, 1 second. And
yeah,
you come back and you threw it at me. You're like, here you go. And I was like, oh, finally, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else planned potentially?
Merch wise?
Yeah, merch wise.
Honestly, yeah. I think we might be announcing a new kind of a collab, more like I guess like a partnership with a particular artist that I really been wanting to work with for a while. And I'm going to help him with his merch drop. And something I think I'm going to be doing now moving forward with my like merchandise side of things with the Paragon stuff is like working with people and helping like a lot of like smaller guys get their first merch drops out and more accessible. Like I'm going to handle maybe less creative, but more of the logistics and production side of it. Like, hey, I'm going to get your merch made. I'm going to handle the storefront or like shipping it out and stuff. Because I'm like, dude, I go to my mom and I, between her and I, we like go to the post office 4 or 5 times a week because she also has like her online businesses and stuff that like the post office has been a part of my life since I was like 13 or 14 years old, like multiple times a week. That's like a daily routine. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to go drop packages off.
Yeah. I think that's so cool though.
Yeah.
Like you helping out smaller artists. And that's why I feel like you gave me inspiration to start this now, because that's what I want to do also. It's like, yeah, I want to get some like bigger names too, but like
start small. It's the best. Like give back to the smaller guys, because when they get bigger, they look out for you and they remember. Like when I was like recording a lot of locals and like up and coming producers in my area, they would tell me like, and it's crazy because like, dude, because of your videos, like my idol of a producer reached out and asked me for music, or is like, wants to see me play. And like, I'm like, what? Like they watched my videos, like, yeah, and they saw me on that and they want me to like work with them. I'm like, that's crazy. And ever since like that started happening, I'm like, damn, you really never know who watches your content. Because even if you have 100 views, all it takes is one of those viewers being like some crazy talent agent or like your favorite artist, and you just never know what comes up on their feed and what they're interested in. And that's happened a lot to where like a lot of my friends who've been on my videos have usually gotten hit up by like their idols and their favorite producers and DJs and like people they've always wanted to meet just because that person happened to be watching my videos or just heard about it.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see. Well, maybe we have to do a little poll here. Maybe if we get a Whoisbrian Chop It Up collab, maybe.
I'm down, dude.
Who is Chop?
Who is chopping?
Chop is who? I don't know.
Hoopa.
Let us know if you would purchase a Whoisbrian Chop It Up collab shirt.
We can make that sick.
It would be. I think we could make something really cool.
I feel like if we did like a comic book, like a comic panel or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We could do some.
Yeah,
nuts.
we
have to cook. Right. You just got back from Lost Lands. Everybody I know that went has been coughing up a storm. Like that does seem like no joke this year.
Yeah, it's all good.
How was that? You have fun?
Lost Lands was a good time. I got to see all the homies, met a bunch of people, met a bunch of artists with potential chop it ups things.
Yeah, I'm honestly really surprised with like the amount of people, like artists, that have just been like, yeah, you know what? When I'm in town, I'll come through. Like, fuck it.
I mean, they're all pretty cool with it. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, it's honestly a good idea. This whole like people have tried to do dubstep podcasts, interviewing artists and stuff, but I feel like so many people in dubstep particularly are very like shy and very like homebodies. Like, oh, we kind of just keep to our circles, and dang, when we go out, yeah, we might meet some new people, but like to just go on a podcast or like be in front of a camera, I think that's different. But the fact that like you got Yax and Ominous of all people, like your second episode, I'm like, dude, they never do anything like this. Like what? Let alone come to your house and just chill here.
apartment,
Yeah, apartment house.
I'm not a house yet.
Not yet, but what? You got a nice pad.
Yeah.
But to just come to your place and just like chill here and talk to you for an hour.
Yeah,
Not to mention, like you probably hung out beforehand too. Like,
yeah, we went to a restaurant usually with the
yeah,
artist.
you gotta
usually go get it.
prime them up.
Yeah, just just talk about them. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just everybody who doesn't know me. I'm like from the Midwest, so Midwest hospitality is a big deal with me. Of just like being nice to everybody, respect everybody. So like if I reach out to an artist and they can't make it, I respect that. That's okay. We all
Yeah.
have lives and stuff.
No,
but
literally, especially our travel schedules, bro.
yes, I understand travel schedules. And
I mean,
yeah, look at you as an example,
Bro.
leaving me early.
yeah. Originally, I was supposed to leave tomorrow night at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and I was just gonna overnight back home. But my Tokyo flight is taking off as I would land home. So I literally like 2 days ago, or yeah, 2 days ago now, I just had to go and rebook a new flight out of pocket,
Yeah.
leaving at 5 a.m.
Well, that sucks.
tomorrow morning.
We're gonna have such a fun.
I know.
day
I was like, that
tomorrow,
was
too.
supposed to be my day to like hang out. Like, all right, we're gonna do shit.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Like a volcano.
You'll have to come back.
Yeah, I literally will. Oregon, of all the states I've been to,
Tell them.
Oregon, since the first time I came here last year, it's like a weird state of I was so impressed by it. I was like, this is beautiful. This feels like a movie, which there's a lot of movies that have been shot here, but it was like the weather was just nice. There's so many trees and colors, and the houses are cute. Like, it just left an impression on me, and I was like, damn, I can't wait to come back. And then I think this might be the first time I've been back since. And again, literally, I land, the airport's beautiful. It's so much natural lighting, and you can tell everyone here does outdoor stuff.
It's an REI store, outdoors. Like
Yeah, I love
like,
REI.
Look, I'm wearing like.
Dude, whenever I see an REI, like I always have to go and like walk in and just.
We got a really big one down the road.
Really?
Yeah.
I bet that's actually probably crazy out here. It's so random to have in Florida, I feel like, because I'm like,
yeah.
It's like I'm gonna buy this gear, but drive out of state to go use it.
Oh, perfect. Well, we're gonna move into our last segment of Chop It Up. This has been a great episode. Probably our longest one that we've done. So
Nothing wrong with that. We're boys, so like
yeah,
it's
I'm
a hangout.
I think there's some stuff going on right now, but
Nah, I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
have no idea either. So we're gonna move into our viewer submitted questions. Thank you once again for everybody who has submitted questions. People have been asking tons of questions now, so it's been kind of cool of you guys actually interacting with me. We'll chop it up. So we got a few questions for you, Brian, from our viewers out there. So shout out to you guys. So our first one goes, what made you realize underground was the way to go?
Honestly, I think it's like a weird one where I started. Obviously, I feel like when you do start, you kind of start with the smaller guys because I can like DM a local DJ and be like, hey man, I really liked your set. Like, hope you do good things, keep doing it, like keep crushing it. And I'm always one of those where I'm big on like words of encouragement. So I don't care how big you are or whatever. Like I literally DM Sullivan King a couple days ago. I was just like, yo, dude, that's such a crazy full circle moment. Like keep crushing that. I don't know. I just see it as it doesn't matter who you are. Like words of encouragement go a long way. Mm-hmm. So I feel like when you focus on the little guys, the smaller people, like it's easier to get a response back from them, but for them to remember that as like you're an early supporter, and that goes a long way because this career path, anything that's like not traditional, it's very hard to like stay consistent in and to develop and grow. Like it's very discouraging when you have your friends around you that are just like, hey man, I'm going to school or I have my normal 9-to-5 job, and they kind of will be like, oh, well, what are you doing? Oh, you're doing YouTube videos, or oh, you're just like partying all the time. Because realistically, in this field, that's what most people see it as. Like you're always partying. I'm like,
I'm at a show.
No, I'm like kind of working.
Yeah, it's working. Well, that's
Yeah.
kind of good. That's
But
why I like the scene so much too. Is like
yeah,
everybody's so close knit.
but like focusing on the underground, it made sense for me, especially because of the style of music that I like. Like we like rhythm, dude, and that is pretty underground. I mean, right now we're seeing like this big surge in popularity and acceptance where I feel like in terms of rhythm and like the scale of it, it feels like it's going mainstream a little bit, but
Dude,
I'm here for it.
every single time at Lost Ends this year, when rhythm tracks were dropped, the crowd would just explode.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
I think artists are starting to realize that. Like they see the reactions, they see all these videos of stuff going crazy, and like I think it's getting to that point where like a lot of bigger artists had to start changing. Like I remember, I think last Lost Lands or the year before, I was picking up on a lot of like these DJs who are like more mainstream dubstep, but like they're starting to double songs, and I'm like,
you're like, that's new.
I wonder why. Because the year prior, I remember like an analyzation I made when I was like talking to like talent buyers and just people who like curate lineups and festivals and stuff. You know, like, yo, like who's gonna be big, who's upcoming, like who do you think is gonna be worth our time to look at? And I always would say COD Dubs and Subtronics, because I was like, pay attention to their sets. Their style of DJing right now is very engaging and has a lot of shock value. It's super high energy. It's different. Like it's when people start to realize like, yo, this person's playing 2 or 3 songs at the same time or cutting in between them, like that's cool. It's impressive. It's fun to look at. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I think these guys are gonna pop off.
Yes.
You know, and then like, oh, we've never heard of these people before. I'm like, really? You haven't even heard of Subtronics? And they're like, no, who is that? I'm like, all right, well, just pay attention. I'm like, hit up the agent, like, just explore that avenue. And they're like, all right, we'll take a look. And then they'll come back to me a year later, like, yo.
Yeah, they're like, oh my gosh, like,
they're like,
and you're just like, yep, yeah. Told you.
And that's honestly something that's cool with like doing the whole YouTube thing and seeing the videos is like, I have effectively all of this data that I literally just recorded with my phone of audience retention, the way they react to things, what they like and don't like, what does well, how things look, how things sound, that I kind of just like collect without really thinking about it. But since I have to edit all my videos, I end up rewatching all this footage, usually more than once. And it's like I start noticing those things, what people react to that they like, what incites a lot of energy, what's like going to be popping. You can see the trends literally as it progresses in real time, like with this footage. So then I'm able to go in and tell people, hey, I think in the next like 3 to 6 months, like this is going to be something that's really popular or big. And you should probably start looking at artists that are going to check these boxes and get them while they're cheap, because by the time your show comes, they're probably going to be double that price.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of segues into this next question. The question is, at what moment did you say, I'm going to start my own management?
That's an interesting one. So artist management in particular is like something that I kind of wanted to do for like the past 2 or 3 years and like work towards. The thing is, like earlier on, I'm like, what does that really entail? What is being like an artist management? Like, what is that? What are your responsibilities other than like, what does a manager do? What's all the stuff I'm expected to do for someone? And I think as I started to like dig deeper into the industry and started realizing like, you kind of have to do like whatever it takes and like build brands, make sure you're looking out for people. I think the role as like an artist manager is kind of, you're that protective barrier between the artist and like the outside world, like promoters and agents and stuff like that. And like, you're kind of a cool filter for them where they can focus on the music, working on whatever they want to do. And then all the businessy, annoying stuff kind of comes to me, and it's like, all right, cool. Like I'll handle this.
Yeah.
And then just run it by you. Like, hey, this person wants you to play over here and they're going to pay you this much. You cool with that? Yeah. All right, cool. No. All right. Keep it rolling. But it's something I wanted to do for years. And even like when I was younger, like my family and like friends of mine would be like, dude, I could see you being like a manager of some sort, like with projects or something. I'm like, oh, maybe, you never know. But I think now getting involved with like the music industry and doing the merch stuff and making these connections and having like what I think is a solid ear for like what's going to be coming up next and just stuff I believe in, I'm like, it might be time to do artist management. And originally I was going to start this going into 2021, like that January. And like stuff came up and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I was going to kick it off, and then I got that tour opportunity, and I was like, you know what? Like, I probably will learn a lot going on the road and like working with a live band and all this stuff. And I'm going to do this and see what I take from it and learn. Did that. And like a month later, I went on the Dead Mouse tour, and I was like, all right, I want to solely focus on this because this is a massive opportunity. What can I learn from this and like absorb?
Yeah.
Paid attention. And the biggest thing I always say to people is like, yo, emails. The entire industry is basically a product of a lot of emails being sent around.
Yep.
So it's like, if you know how to write a really good email and like etiquette, that's like the essential. And honestly, like, I would just read through threads that I get tied into and just see like the verbiage you're using, the formatting, and then just reading how things are put together. Because every now and then I would be on a thread that's like literally start to finish, this is the entire run of the show, like how it was built throughout like the 6 months that they were planning it. And I'm like, oh, like I didn't even know you would have to email about the length of a freaking metal bar for this stage. I'm like, that's crazy. Okay. So learning that after like doing the Dead Mouse tour, then Sullivan King happened, and I'm like, okay, I'm at a point now where I feel like I can do this. I have like my friends that are all like doing really well musically, in my opinion, and like don't really trust a lot of people. And like at this point, like all my friends are all like these secretive projects and stuff with anonymity, and like, oh, you know, we've had bad experience with either managers before or just people in the industry. So they're very like cautious about who they share like information with or their time with, let alone like, hey, someone to kind of manage your project and have input in it. Like, what do you like? Who do you give that access to? So considering I like for most of the past year was just spend time on Discord, fortunately like building those relationships with these artists and like literally sitting there with them in any of my spare time, like whether it was 8 a.m. or 8 p.m., 3 a.m., like
Dude, yes.
literally just anytime I had free time, hanging in there, seeing who's in and just like shooting the shit, giving them feedback on their music, watching them produce. Literally just put the time in and built those relationships to the point where it's like, hey, you know, we're seeing some traction, some growth. What should we do? And I'm giving them like now business and brand advice. And I'm like, it's kind of like what a manager would start to do.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, damn, maybe I'm in that point in my life where I can do it. And after the Sullivan King tour, I was like, I think it's time. Like, I like paid off a bunch of my debt, and then I was like, I have some money saved up. Like, I'll be okay right now because I just quit my job. Keep in mind, the entire time I've been doing all this shit, I've been working like a normal ass like job. Like, I literally worked at a gas station up until a couple months ago, which blows a lot of people's mind because for years, a lot of people thought I was making money solely off YouTube. Or when people started realizing I worked at Mouse, like, oh, like you were Dead Mouse, you made it, bro. Like, you're making all this money. I'm like, no, dude, I literally was working like 3 days, 4 days a week at my normal gas station job, and then flying out to whatever city they needed me in, did a day there, 2 days, fly back, sometimes have a gap day where I would rest and then work and then repeat. And I did that for 6-7 months until I like January this year, I hit the ground burnt. Like, I burnt out.
That's why I respect you so much as like somebody in the scene. It's just like how hardworking you were. Like when you told me that first into, like, I knew you had a job because it's like seen YouTube over the years. I knew you had a job and stuff, but like everything that you would do, that's what gave me so much respect for you in the industry. Just like how hardworking you are, how much like drive you are for the scene. So
yeah, and that's like the dedication too, because that's something like I got super known for, was like the turnaround time for shit. Like, I do Brian works. They would like do the Kris Jenner comparisons, and I think that's why for a while I was like, I'm dubstep Kris Jenner.
Dude, we were hanging out last night, and it's like 10:45. Like, I have a corporate job, so like I'm done with my work. It's like 10:45. He's sending emails off. I'm like, dude, just like,
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Just like chill. Like,
dude, that's why I said, like, at least in the position I'm in, I'm like, there's no like off time. Like, I'm basically like on call. Like, if something rolls through, I'm like, oh man, I gotta handle this. Like, there was a night, I remember this was recently, like, I am cozied up. I'm literally just getting to bed. It's 3:30 in the morning, and like a festival hits me up. It's like, hey, do you have like any artist bios that you could send us? Like, we want to do some promo posts tomorrow. And I was like,
you're like, yeah.
I'm like, not even that. I was like, dude, no, actually, now I think about it, we don't have any artist bios. And I'm like, and they need this tomorrow. And it was like that real decision of, man, I literally just crawled into bed, like lights off. I'm cozy. And I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, oh, I'm the manager.
No.
Grab my laptop, and I literally sit there, whip out the thesaurus, and I start typing up 3 or 4 different artist bios for like the next hour. I'm like reading it. I'm like, damn, I snap with this. Like, that's what's up. And then I send it all off with the promo photos. Close my laptop. It's like 5 a.m. I'm just like, all right. Wake up at like 9 a.m. and keep it rolling.
Well, speaking of shows, somebody asked, any Cali shows coming up for Paragon Threat?
Not as of right now. We've had a few people trying to make the Cali shows happen, but Cali's like a weird market from what I've seen. Like, at least LA. It's weird. It feels like, at least dubstep wise, there's a show every now and then, but it kind of has to be tied to like a bigger company or project. But we're trying to get like, right now, I think going into next year, we really want to get a bunch of masquerade shows where it's not just like one artist from our group, but like 2 to 3, 4. So in November, for example, we have Rhythm Sessions in Las Vegas, which is basically a masquerade show. It's 5 of my like roster. Yeah, so it's Inactive, Sanzu, 7.
Wait, Inactive's on it?
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude. So
I've never seen him actually.
Really?
Yeah.
What time is it? We might have a few hours. We might see him soon.
We might see him?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I might have to see him soon. It's not like
shit, who's this guy?
Yeah, it's not like I don't have him working here practicing right now.
Everybody is Inactive.
Yeah, that is Inactive if you didn't know.
He's locked in right now.
Very locked in. You put Dex or a laptop in front of this dude, and it's just like, yeah, work.
Perfect. Well, that kind of wraps it up with the viewer submitted questions. Brian, I can't thank you enough for with me joining your guys' space, friend group, and just being into the scene. I can't thank you enough for just being a homie, I guess, to me. So it's kind of just
I'm just like, I'm very supportive of anybody that is trying to contribute things to the community and look out for the underground or just the space. I'm like, if you can contribute something and you're actually a genuinely good person, you're nice, you're literally to me a cool big tall brother, and I'm like, yo, we share the same values. I don't know, it's nice.
Yeah, it's all good.
I'm good people attracts good people, and I'm big on that.
Yeah, man, this has been a great episode.
100%.
This is our longest episode by far, but it's all good stuff. If you guys have made it this long, shout out to you guys. Honestly,
yeah, shout out to you. Drop a comment below. Hit that subscribe button, man. Let's get this man to 1K in the next few months.
1K?
Yeah.
I want to get to 200 at least next.
Think big.
So I ask everybody, who should I have next on Chop It Up?
Hamro.
That's crazy.
I heard he's in town.
He is in town.
I feel like you should get Hamro on here.
Hamro,
it makes sense if he's in town.
Yeah, Hamro.
Hit him up.
I'll hit him up. We'll see what we can do. See what we cook up. Other than Hamro, who else do you think maybe I should bring on potentially?
I know earlier we mentioned Chef Toggle. You might not know Chef Toggle, but is one of the best DJs probably in this country for this rhythm shit. Actually,
Toggle's from Illinois. Shout out Toggle.
Yeah, that's your town.
Toggle, shout out Illinois.
Yeah, but Toggle I think would be sick on here. I think someone like Sisto, Jikwi.
Yep.
You can get Midnight Tea. I don't know. These are all people I think are just cool.
People. Yeah.
Down to earth and can actually sit down and just talk about not just music, real life stuff, memories, games.
We can talk about anything.
Yeah, literally anything.
I can talk to a wall.
You probably could actually. I talk to a wall a lot, but that's just me podcasting to myself every day.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, I should start a podcast. And then I don't do it, but then
I beat you to it.
Yeah, and then Nate texts me, yo, should I start a podcast? And I'm like, do what I literally spent 2 years thinking about and not actually doing. And literally within 2 days of me saying, go for it. He's like, hey, I got you Sabi Flow on here. I'm like, I was like, dude, I didn't know you were going to start now.
Well,
I thought this was
very fast.
Yeah, I was
Thank you, Daniel,
a month later or something.
I saw you at Lost Lands, Daniel. We had a big hug.
Yeah.
It was nice seeing
you.
I
love Daniel. He's so nice, bro.
Yes.
Always been supportive.
But anybody you want to shout out, homies, anybody?
I want to shout you out for doing the thing.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Literally fucking doing it.
I try.
And honestly, housing us for the weekend, honestly, it's been comfortable. Awesome to just see a friend and stay with a friend, especially across the country. Goes a long way. Means a lot. Mm-hmm. Showing us some dope spots of food.
Dude, we got some good food here.
Yeah. Also want to shout out Benda. I know he's not here right now, but for having us on the tour and honestly being such a homie. Glad we're friends. looking out for the underground. Honestly, like if you sleep on Benda, you're messing up. Honestly, I know a lot of people might overlook him just because he's kind of bigger and mainstream. Nah, he's for the culture.
I dropped the mic.
You dropped the mic. He's for the culture, just like this guy right here. Also, if anyone would like to donate to the new Croc Fund, please.
He needs some.
They're looking pretty rough. It looks like Cars 3 right now.
Cars 3.
Yeah, they went through the ringer on the song.
Dude, we need to do a Cars tier list sometimes.
Cars tier list?
Yeah, like we just tier list the cars in Cars.
The cars in Cars?
Yeah, we just tier list them.
I can be down for that. I thought you meant like real life cars. I was about to say,
no, I don't know. I know nothing about Cars, man. I just know that's a Skyline, right?
Yes.
All right, nice.
There's gonna be the Adora Supra on this shirt, but I'm like, we gotta go with the Skyline.
Well, with that being said, third episode.
We need sponsors actually. Starbucks sponsor us. We need a water sponsor. A bag sponsor. Probably
the bag one we got.
That might be in the works. Yeah.
We have an announcement soon.
Okay.
Announcement soon.
I'll stay tuned.
Very soon about because all of us read them. We all need a good side bag.
We need the USB holster.
Yes, we need the USB holster. We have some news coming up with that.
Yeah. We also need a hoodie sponsor. Maybe?
That'd be sick. I don't know. Whatever. If you guys got homies, whatever, want to sponsor Chop It Up, you want to send me anywhere in the country to cover stuff?
Yes. We'll pimp him out.
I'm down. Let me know. I won't be attending summoning though. So I'm sorry, everybody. If I know you'll be asking, I will not be at summoning.
Maybe I'll take over, Chop It Up.
That would be sick. I'll give you some business cards. I got business cards too.
Yes.
Have you ever seen me?
If you see that business card, you better keep it locked.
You better.
Don't throw that shit away.
Nope.
Give it to a friend at most.
But with that being said, Inactive, do you got anything you want to say?
Great.
That's it. This has been Chop It Up.